We had been patrolling in the forest for 2 weeks now. We all knew the mayor wanted us to look for something, and the patrols were a cover-up, but we didn't really care. I was there because I had seen the corruption in the town, and I wanted to become an officer to hopefully solve some of the problems. Unfortunately, to do so, I would need to serve as a peacekeeper for 1.5 years. Our group consisted of myself, my friend Cale Draven, whose family took me in when I was only 7, a veteran called Tarek Crow, who had helped me and Cale get through training, Joran Reed, who was working as a peacekeeper only to avoid getting sent to the cages, something I hoped to get rid of by becoming an officer, and finally a strange man called Cade Murcher. He never spoke much and always kept his mask on. One day, me and Tarek were on patrol when we found a strange tree. It had a box with a control panel in the front and wires and tubes running along its branches. Tarek radioed the others to come see. Unfortunately, Doran and Cade did not have Cale with them and thought he had been with us. We then attempted to radio him, but there was no response. We met back up and looked around before determining we should split up again to cover more ground before dark. Me and Tarek went east the direction of the barrier. Eventually, during sunset, we spotted Cale in the distance. Something was off, though. He looked wrong. An eerie grin had spread across his face. I had never seen him smile like that in my 12 years of knowing him. I was concerned and wanted to go see if he was all right, but Tarek stopped me. He said he had seen that grin on a man before. Cale just stared at us, unsettling me more the longer he stood there. Eventually, Tarek went forward, telling me to keep my rifle trained on him. I believed Cale would never do anything to hurt Tarek, so I didn't. A decision I would soon regret. Once Tarek had gotten close, Cale raised his rifle, preparing to fire. Tarek pushed the barrel of the rifle aside, avoiding the shot, and pinned Cale to a tree. I saw Cale pull out a knife from his belt. Tarek must have assumed Cale didn't have one because knives like that were a standard issue. I shouted, trying to warn Tarek, but I was too late and the knife had been sunk into Tarek's torso. As Tarek fell back, I fired a shot at my friend, instantly feeling the guilt of doing so, but only for a moment. Somehow he seemed unfazed. He picked up Tarek's rifle as well as his own and ran off into the forest as I helped Tarek up and hurried to the others. We met up with them and explained what happened, then began returning to camp. The only issue is Cale knew where camp was, so he was either stalking us or he was already there. Thankfully, we made it back safely, and Joran was able to remove the knife and give Tarek medicine to stabilize him. Unfortunately, Cale arrived by morning. At least now he seemed slightly fazed by the wound I had given him. We prepared the few weapons we had in hopes that we wouldn't need to use them. Unfortunately, after getting no response from him again, Cade decided to not risk any more injury and opened fire immediately. The shots hit, but again somehow unfazed him. He returned fire, instantly killing Joran. Cade seemed to feel guilty for this and told me to take Tarek to safety while he dealt with Cale. Sadly, as we ran away, we heard 5 gunshots, and after the long silence, we knew Cade was gone. Soon, Cale caught up with us and fired a shot at me while we climbed a hill. The shot hit me in the upper chest. As it collapsed, I thought I would die, but my armor must have absorbed some of the impact. Still, I felt air escaping my chest. I had taken a shot to the lung. As I recovered, Tarek fired a few shots but missed. Because I had dropped my rifle down the hill when I was hit, we only had his pistol. He had 1 shot left, and he handed me the gun, saying his vision was too blurry from the medicine Joran had given him to aim. I stared at the gun, knowing 1 shot likely wouldn't do anything to Cale. Both me and Tarek were dying men. We couldn't outrun Cale with our injuries unless one of us held him off. The gun felt heavier than the rifle did. I knew I needed to change the town, and I knew Tarek would never try to. He had accepted the way things were. The power I held felt good. I had a choice that day. There are 2 types of people: the ones who would die for someone and the ones who live because the world needs them. The world needs me. I shot Tarek in the leg without saying a word, then turned and started to run. Tarek said one last thing to me. "Maybe I failed you. Maybe you just failed yourself, but remember, I know what kind of man you are, Varric." Tarek served his purpose. He distracted Cale long enough for me to escape. I kept running until I made it to the town walls. Then, my lung failed, and I collapsed to the ground. I was found by 2 lumberjacks who brought me to the med bay. 4 months later, I became an officer. I could finally help fix the town, get rid of the needle's death and the cruelty.